I am Grip Grand, or Gabe Winogrand, which is my MC name, obviously. No, Grip Grand is my rapper name. I was born in the city of San Francisco, beautiful city by the bay, San Francisco, California, in the actual city, and I lived there till I was like 9 or 10. I moved to LA, went to school there, went to high school there, so like all my drinking stories take place in Los Angeles. My parents had huge record collections, like mom and dad both, and really ranged from, just like all genres except for heavy metal, pretty much. I think neither of them was like into Sabbath or anything like that, but my dad and mom both have license plates that say bebop, so like jazz is their long-standing thing, and my mom's collection was Aretha Franklin and Otis Redding, and she's like the classic soul head, so like all these records that I have here, a lot of them, I mean at this point not the majority of them, but the start of it came from them, and like my mom's Isaac Hayes records, and like she had Ron Carter, like CTI records, just cool shit that I would buy now if I mean, maybe all the CTI records have been sampled at this point, but those are good, that's good music, so I would buy that stuff to listen to now. And God bless them for like bringing me up in the house with all that good music. So just like I don't remember listening to children's music as a kid as much. I mean, there was some Sesame Street and whatever, although that
Electric Company.
Sure, I mean, but that was in the days when like Stevie Wonder was on Sesame Street, so there was a lot. It's different than like whoever's on there now. But they played a lot of music for me, like just Beatles or like Stevie Wonder and that kind of thing. That was my children's music. That's what I grew up on, and it definitely had an influence on me. My earliest hip hop memory is probably Rapper's Delight. So my folks got divorced when I was a baby, and then my mom was like single mom, moved in with another single mom and her 2 kids, and both of those ladies were really into like disco dancing and like going to dance, and they would go to like jazz and disco clubs and dance, and so any music that was popular for getting down to, that was like played in my house. I mean, that's why we had the Isaac Hayes records and stuff, and so if it was like Donna Summer or like Shaka Khan or Rufus, something like that, but Rapper's Delight was a monster record. And real hip hop memory, like when I connected with it and thought maybe this is something I could do, or that it's something just like when I wanted to start writing songs, because I'd already been writing just songs to sing, but when I wanted to start writing songs, Colors, Ice-T Colors, that's the first song I wrote down all the lyrics by hand, and like another person's lyrics, because then you couldn't go on the internet. I mean, embarrassingly enough, there was no internet then, and so you had to really dig if you wanted to. One of the good things about growing up in that era was like if you wanted to find out about hip hop, you had to find out. You had to like go look for it, not get a subscription to the Source or something, but even that was still down the road at that point. So like you had to read liner notes, and you had to, if you wanted to read the lyrics, man, you had to listen to the album over and over. I wrote them down, memorized them, fucking did them with my friends. Like I started real young. I wrote my first song when I was like 5 or 6. My mom still has it on paper. Like I still remember it. I'm not gonna sing it for you now. It wasn't a rap song. Like I write all kinds of songs in all genres. I don't know if they didn't get their due. I mean, because they are more famous than me by far, and later became well known. But basically, so I grew up with this kid Pablo, and he was a year older than me, and he was my like older brother and like influence for everything I wanted to be, and he is the first cat I knew who started rapping. He was in a group in San Francisco called 3 Shades of Rhythm, and it was him, this dude Ilyich, and their DJ, and that group became Board Stiff, who are more well known than I am. In San Francisco, they're one of like the legendary underground groups, and they're still making music today. Equipto is one of the guys who was in that group. Ilyich is Equipto, and he's doing his thing. He's made albums with like Andre Nicotina and stuff like that.
Really?
Things I never would have predicted from where they started out. But so they would make these demo tapes, and Pablo would send to me, and I just thought they were the illest. Like, not just because they were the first people making music who I knew, but at the time that they were making music, just a lot of good and interesting influences, and like their demos basically sound like, I don't know, like the earliest kind of Souls of Mischief demos mixed with KMD or something like that.
Wow,
which to me was like an amazing, you know, Pablo played trumpet, or P-Way or P-Champ. He had a lot of different rap names at the time, but Pablo's what he was called when he was a baby. Yeah, I mean, so those guys were making music and doing shows in San Francisco, and having little flyers and stuff, and and while they did become popular as Bored Stiff, I always thought that the Three Shades of Rhythm demos, which easily could have made an album, I still have a tape of it. I thought that would have blown up. I mean, I still think like if you put it out now, it would be like one of those, you know, like when Stone's Throw put out that Dooley-O album, and it was like 10 years or 15 years after the fact, and it's, you know, still sounds hot because it was a hot era. The hip-hop scene in Oakland, I would describe as something I was not a part of, and a scene that would not probably recognize me. I lived in Oakland for, this ends up being ironic because, yeah, the reason, I'll tell you why it's on there. The reason it's on there is because when I made my first album, Welcome to Brokeland, I was living in Oakland, had a, you know, menial type of job, working with very nice people, but like, I was a retail clerk, you know, and just struggling to do my thing, and because of the way in hindsight, maybe I should have spelled it Brokeland, B-R-O-K-E, but I was in Oakland at the time, and I was repping the place that I was at.
I think people get it, though.
I think people get it too, but I have since been associated with Oakland, a beautiful city that I have a lot of respect for and a lot of friends in, but there's lots of people who have put in a lot of time and paid a lot of dues in that town, and that's not the way that it went for me. You know, I've always, because I haven't lived in one place for more than 5 years in like 2 decades. I mean, I just keep moving around, so I don't have a real sense of home anymore, and it was hard to be part of a scene, you know, and I'm an only child anyway, so wherever I moved to, I just set up a studio, my records and books and shit, and turn inward and just create in my living room. Like when we lived in Oakland, I just had a 4-track in the living room, and I recorded there, and that was, to me, that was the Oakland hip-hop scene. And I guess kind of ironic, I was not in the Bay anymore. Bomb is out of San Francisco. Dave Paul, big shout out to Dave Paul, a lot of respect. Dave Paul has put out a ton of artists on Bomb at one time or another through their compilations and stuff. Return of the DJ, you know, a lot of people know that stuff. Well-respected independent label there. And it was well-respected independent labels that I was sent my demo to, essentially. Like, we moved to Santa Cruz, I finished the album, and such an unlikely story, but I mean, this was a long time ago, but I sent out demos to a bunch of labels, just like homemade. I made the envelopes myself, like I made all the stuff, and it kind of looked like a scary ransom note, which is
Anthrax tapes.
Yeah, basically, like. So therefore, I'm not surprised that I didn't hear back from anyone. I got one polite thanks but no thanks.
Oh, okay.
From Ubiquity. Thank you very much, folks, at Ubiquity. But yeah, Dave Paul wrote back to me from Bomb, and like that was a very exciting day for me. I got this letter, and he was like, you know, it's been a while since I heard a demo like this. I don't even know why he opened it, but he did, and you know, just something about it he liked the potential of, and which is shocking. It was recorded on a 4-track cassette, like really lo-fi, but that, you know, I mean, it wasn't 100 years ago, but it was long enough ago that music industry's just changed a lot, so much, you know, and these days people aren't really as much about taking a chance on developing an artist, or like hearing potential in someone and thinking, oh, you know, maybe we can do something better than this, or this will lead to something.
Right.
But Dave Paul has put a lot of people, I always use his last name, I should just call him Dave. Dave has put a lot of people on who later became, you know, bigger and better, just by getting that first opportunity. So whatever he saw, he asked me to send him some more songs, and I had already recorded like 20-something songs, just one at a time, never intending it to be an album, you know. And but when he said you have more material, I was like, yeah, I better just sequence this. You know, my theory is like if you can provide people with a finished product or as close as you can get to a finished product, that's more attractive to them than having to do a lot of work for it. That's not what I did the second time around. That's why I took my second album. It took 5 years or whatever. But the first one, like I had it all done, so I sent it to him, and I was like, "Do you want to? Should we master? I mean, or re-record it because it sounds terrible." He's like, "No, just do it. Just do it." So, you know, basically my demos became my first album, and through sending out a demo. It's not the way I would suggest to most people to like get signed, but it worked for me.